Hello there. I'm Victor of the Nordic Takedown podcast, and I'm talking to you this evening because FFG, they did a thing this week. Well, we have been part of the lively discussion on the topic of what to do with Boba Fett for a while now. And I've voiced quite some opinions on this matter, and so has all of the crew here at the podcast. And finally, FFG, very timely, FFG did a thing. They banned or suspended, as it were, Boba Fett from play. And all respectable podcasts must have a reaction video, of course. And this is, I guess, ours. I'm alone here, but that's because the other night, just before FFG did this announcement, I had an epiphany, and I'm going to talk to some to that in a bit. But first, I just want to make clear that all of us are really happy with this, even though we have voiced and championed some other solutions sometimes. This is a good solution. This is very timely, and it makes at least me very excited to start building new decks with the new cards that are released this weekend. And I think this is a clean solution, and the reasoning behind it is laid out in a very clear manner from both the um, stream as well as the article. I do really appreciate that the designers and all the people working at FFG are so very open about how much they care about the game and how willing they are to listen to us, the player base. I think this is a tremendous thing, and I think it's really the backbone of why this game must really succeed in the long run. I'm so happy with this. Now, moving on, I had this epiphany. I was just about to fall asleep the other night, and then I was wide awake because I had this really fancy idea of how to solve these kinds of problems in the future. Obviously, not as a fix to the boba problem because my idea is slow and will take some implementing, but it does combine some of my really favorite versions of this from other games. So even in the broadcast, FFG talked about the alternative system of rotation that Flesh and Blood is using. They have something called Living Legends. So whenever a hero wins enough tournaments, they rack up points, so to speak. And when they have enough points, they are retired from their version of Premier Play. Now, if you look at all the kinds of systems that FFG has been using in the past for their card games, such as restricted lists, bans, and obviously erratas, they are very effective, I guess, but they are not fancy and they are not very, I guess, thematic. Now, Flesh and Blood, they own their license. And another game that did kind of this thing where tournaments matter was Doomtown Reloaded, sorry, where they had this story impact. What happens in the tournament impacted what cards were printed and how they were designed. And FFG has done things like this in the past. They have had champion cards. So when someone would win the biggest tournaments, one of the prizes they would get was the possibility to design a card. And I really like this kind of narrative and thematic way of approaching the game. So my idea was based in that. So I've wanted to use a system that's already built into the game, kind of. So we do have bounties in the game, right? Those are attachments that you could put in your deck and play on your opponent's units, and then you will get rewards from defeating those units. Now, I thought, what if we make a new kind of attachment? And you could have several of these. The design space is really big here. So these attachments would work pretty much like bounties, but the triggering condition could be also different things. Doesn't have to be defeating a unit. So these bounties you're not putting into your deck. You can play maybe only one of them, but a full play set, 3 or so of it, and you would have these to the side. And whenever you're opposing a a particularly notorious leader, because obviously the points the leaders would score from winning big tournaments would be notoriety points, right? So Luke Skywalker is out there in the galaxy blowing up things and being a nuisance to the Empire. Obviously, the powers that be would put a price on his head, right? Now, if he gets enough of wins in big tournaments, he would rack up to a level of points where you would get a bounty. So whenever you're facing a leader that has a bounty, you get to, at setup, place one of your bounties onto that leader. So this would be sort of a handicap system as well. You could use it outside of competitive play to just actually give handicap to a person. You would obviously use these bounties. You would pick the bounty that you would have available to you according to what your deck wants. So it would actually be a reward to your deck to be able to score this bounty, because you built your deck with this bounty in mind. So it would be easy to keep track of. You could implement it in the Melee GG app, so that whenever you're paired up and you go to your table, you could see that, well, I'm playing a guy that's playing a leader with two bounties on his head. All right, so I'll set up with two of the bounties on that leader, and there's no errata or physical card changing, because it's on these bounty cards what is going to happen when the triggering condition applies. And it would be flexible, so, and it will be almost instant. So whenever a unit starts winning tournaments, they will rack up the points, and they would come to a threshold where opponents would be able to start putting bounties on their head the next week. You know, and the bounties would already be out there in the system, in the game. So I think this is a really fun way to do it. I'm not sure anyone else will like this idea, but I had to put this out there because I'm really excited about this. And well, if the unlikely scenario that someone at FFG actually sees this video, well, go ahead. I will have no credit for this. I'll just put this out in the world, and I'll be able to sleep tonight because I know I've told you about my great idea. Well, thank you for your time, and keep playing this amazing game. See you around. Bye.